We are coming to you live from $1 Million Studios. Your boys, Chris Speezak,
a.k.a. the White Russian.
And the benchmark of professional wrestling, Mr. Silky Baines.
That will make me Black Bond.
Speez and the Benchmark Show on a Thursday night, December 6, 2018. We thank you so much for being with us. Everybody joining us here on Periscope and over on the YouTubes, or if you're listening to us after the fact on the podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, everywhere you can hear your favorite podcast. You can catch the Speez and the Benchmark Show. Remember, if you want to pitch into the cause, you can continue to do so with those super hearts over there on Periscope. And you can hit us up with the tip jar. tinyurl.com/SB tip jar. We always appreciate that because, as Silky likes to say,
these bills need to get paid.
Indeed they do. And, of course, if you want to get in on the conversation, you can give us a call. 832-937-4559 is the phone number to get in.
832-93-SILKY.
832-93-SILKY. There, that's okay. That's okay.
I got distracted by the Super Hearts coming in.
Super Hearts coming in already from Get the Tables. Thank you guys very much. So, lots to get to this evening. A whole bunch of different things going on. We got some New Japan news. We got some Rev Pro news. We got WWE news. All kinds of stuff happening. So, we're going to get to all of that shortly. First and foremost, we want to send a special birthday wish up to a young man up in Burnsville, Minnesota. Jonathan Bement turned 12 years old yesterday. And we wanted to wish a special happy birthday to Jonathan because the thing is, his old man sent out a couple of invites to his birthday party. They hadn't heard back, kids not getting back to him. He was a little down about it. So Dad put out a thing on Twitter, said, hey, can we reach out, send my kiddo some birthday wishes. Put his email address up there. 6,000 emails on Twitter. 6,000 emails that this kid got. And I'm not talking just regular jamokes like you and me. This was like Academy Award-winning actress Patricia Arquette. He got invited to an NXT show, all kinds of great stuff. It was absolutely amazing. So it was just, the outpouring on Twitter was fantastic. And Silky, you saw him, good-looking young fella.
Yeah, he had a PlayStation shirt, which is kind of cool. I'm an Xbox guy myself, but I still have PlayStation, so. And
he had the original PlayStation.
Yeah, the original OG awesome. Shit.
And I read that he's been a Spider-Man fan since he was like 2 years old.
Which is pretty cool.
How cool is this kid? Exactly. Yeah. So props to him for getting all the birthday messages. So anyway, Jonathan, we wanted to send out a very special happy birthday to you. We hope you enjoyed your 12th. We hope it was amazing. If nobody's told you today, you are amazing, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Happy birthday to you, sir, from your boys, Speez and the Benchmark. All right, we also got to get to our fabulous toy drive because it is still going on. Remember, you can donate now to the Speez and the Benchmark Toy Drive 2018, benefiting the good folks over at the Fort Bend County Women's Center. You can donate those new unwrapped toys until next Friday, December 14th.
Let's get him in so he can too sweet on air.
tinyurl.com/SB Toy Drive 2018 is the link to our Amazon gift list. Silky, we set a goal for ourselves, and there's all the information scrolling down below for those of you watching. And if you're listening after the fact, just hit us up on Twitter at Speez Benchmark. You can get all the information there. We set a goal for ourselves of 60 toys. Last count, we were at 25. So little less than halfway to our goal, little less than halfway through the actual toy drive.
Yeah.
So we're about on par, 41.6 repeating percent for those of you that aren't too good at the maths. That's where we're at.
Fuck you. Anyway.
So anyway, but first things first, we said we were going to start shouting everybody out who's been sending in toys, and we're going to do that right now. So before we get to the wrestling talk, we got to show you some of the amazing stuff that we already got coming in. All right, so I got my stuff first. Check it out.
Why does the white person go first?
It's nothing to do with the white person. So check it out. We got multiple Monopoly Fortnite games. Anything Fortnite, they're all about it. They got it. And check this out, Silky. You also got a Fortnite, as I clang the microphone, Fortnite Boogie Bomb. How cool is that? Yeah. Where is it? Hold on.
I didn't know that did that, so we're going to still do it.
It's a little Boogie Bomb celebration going on. So we got all that stuff going. So that was my contribution to the thing. What else you got over there? So we got all kinds of stuff that's coming this week.
I got your boy Jeff Cross. Shout out, big up to you. Hungry Hippos.
A classic, an absolute classic game.
Classic.
I went and looked up the commercial because I can't see the name Hungry Hippos without going Hungry Hippos, like the old commercial. You know the old commercial.
I also got Uno, The Incredibles 2 Uno.
That's from Mr. Warren Hayes, who also sent, you got another one from Warren Hayes over there, because Warren was complaining.
He was really upset about this, so he did something about it.
Yes.
Initiative. That's what he showed, and he got fucking operation.
Absolutely awesome. And we got more stuff over here. So this is from our friend Courtney, who we met through Diva Dirt, which you need to go check out if you're into the female wrestling, divadirt.com. Check it out. So we got the soccer ball, number 1.
Boom.
All right.
Ball.
And another classic, Candyland for the kiddos. So thank you, Miss Courtney, who's a new listener to the program, and she's already sending in toys. How amazing is that?
All right. And Lit Man, he got us a football, just for it's football season. Patriots about to win it all again. Your Texans are doing pretty good.
Those are a big hit with the kiddos. Anything like football, soccer balls, all that kind of stuff, because the kids love to play sports. Basketballs and so on and so forth. All right, I got to reach back here. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Come here. I'm falling over backwards in the chair.
I kind of wanted to see how that played out.
He's not going to help me on that.
Absolutely not.
So this is from the mysterious John R. We don't know who John R. is, but check it out. It's a little.
Is that like John Q?
The crowd is cheering. Performance stunts and driving. Sending the dirt on the track flying.
That's a truck that sings. How cool is that? And sorry, another classic board game, so we got that going as well. Hopefully this truck will stop because it goes on for like literally 10 minutes, so you're probably going to hear it in the background here, so just try to ignore it. So anyway.
And last but not least, or do you have any more?
Oh, I got more. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, this was Courtney's soccer ball. Hold on, I got more over here too. Wait.
I'm just letting you know if you fall, I'm just going to let that shit happen.
I know.
That just happened to you.
And
we can laugh about it. We can talk about what you did.
We already shouted out Big Paws on a Pup last week. Check it out, the kids' xylophone here, and another soccer ball. So yet another soccer ball coming here. God, that truck
Jesus Christ!
I'm telling you, it goes forever, and we can't get this on screen because the box is too big. But Get the Tables family,
Get the Tables,
not only sent us a badass scooter, a Razor scooter, not like a little chicken shit cheap scooter, but like a cool ass Razor scooter. They also sent a $25 iTunes gift card.
Nice.
So that was amazing. And last but not least, the cream of the crop.
Not the cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop.
It is the toy that was the reason that you were able to do that math earlier.
That's right. Because when I was young.
Fucking abacus.
The abacus. That's right. From our boy
Mac Diesel,
who stepped up and got the abacus. So that's amazing.
I didn't, I had leapfrog, shit like that, electronics. So... But I know old people like you used abacus, and
the old people like me,
count the stars and shit.
Yeah. Exactly. So all that stuff, we're gonna decorate behind us. We want to make sure that we actually showed it on camera. So look, so much stuff coming in already. It's fantastic. Like I said, we're up to about 25 toys. We're trying to get to 60.
Yes.
tinyurl.com.
So Chris can do the 2 Suite.
No, if we get to 100, I do the 2
it's
Suite.
60.
Don't change the rules.
It's
we'll
not
have
changing
the
the
fucking
rules.
video here next week to verify.
Oh, so what you're gonna say is you're backing out.
tinyurl.com/SBToyDrive2018.
I mean,
thank you so much to all you guys who've already sent stuff out. It's amazing.
We're trying to get these people to send us donations and toys, and you're backing out. They want to see it.
I'm backing out of what?
They want to see it, but you want to be Mr. Scrooge.
There's
and
probably
shit.
a lot of things that the folks want to see that I'm not willing to do on the air. But hey, so it goes. Let's get over to the chat because we've been remiss in talking to the folks on the chat. So we got some more super hearts coming in already. So thank you for that.
See, Jeff Cross, 2 Sweet.
Of course. Not just Silky's hitting random buttons here to try to make sure what's going on, but that's okay. I thought you were going to tell who else sent the super hearts, for crying out loud. I see him from here. Mac Diesel, thank you very much. Jeffrey Cross,
Anthony.
thank you very much.
And that's it that we can see.
So thank all you guys very much for that.
Thank everybody for the
appreciate
super hearts.
And please share the program if you would.
Share
it on out to your Twitter followers, to your Periscope followers, everybody. Let's try to get a lot of folks in here. Okay, now that we've pitched everything that we have to pitch so far.
What about we might as well, our boys at Prestige Properties?
Yes, we can do that as well. But first, before we get to that, well, let me see if I got I don't know if I have the Prestige Properties one up here, but you know Prestige Properties by now. Our boy Travis Wallach. Check him out online, prestigeproperties.tx-tx.com. So check them out if you're in the real estate business or you're looking for real estate down here in the Houston area. Make sure you do that. And of course, you can get your Speez in the Benchmark T-shirt, but we'll save that for later on when we're trying not to get people to buy toys for the toy drive. We got to set priorities here. Okay. So, first things first, Silky. We've got our buddy Anthony from the Smark to Death podcast, who will be joining us next Thursday here on the program to preview not only Ring of Honor's Final Battle, which is a week from tomorrow, next Friday, but the TLC pay-per-view, which will be next Sunday. So if you're a Smark to Death fan, or even if you're not, and you don't know much about what Anthony and Kyle do over on Smark to Death, check us out next week. We'll be here 8 o'clock p.m. Central, as we always are. So we're happy to have Anthony joining us next week. Now, you saw in the opening graphic there, sad day for the wrestling world, as a couple of guys that had a pretty big impact on the business.
Yep.
Both the Dynamite Kid and Kurt Hennig's old man,
Larry the Axe Hennig.
Larry the Axe Hennig, both passed away here recently, unfortunately. Silky, I'll admit to not knowing a whole lot about Larry the Axe Hennig, aside from the fact that, of course, he is Kurt Hennig's father, Mr. Perfect. But
and Curtis Axel's granddad.
this is true, and thank you, Lit Mantis, for the Super Hearts. I appreciate that. But Dynamite Kid was somebody that I remember vividly from my childhood, and watching him with the British Bulldogs, he and Davey Boy Smith, and one of those guys that just, was pretty far ahead of the curve.
Yep.
He was doing stuff back then that so many of the guys that we see doing now are doing and everybody freaks out about. This guy was doing it back in the early to mid 80s.
Yep.
It was unbelievable. And for those of you that haven't seen it, I can't recommend enough. And I think I tweeted out the highlights to this on our Twitter page. His match with Tiger Mask.
Yes.
And he had a series of them, but the highlights of the one in particular are just amazing. It was absolutely amazing to watch those two guys. You could take those two guys and put them in any wrestling promotion right now today. Put that match in any wrestling promotion right now, and it wouldn't stand out as a match that was 30-plus years old.
Yep.
No way. That's how good it was. Any particular fond memories of the Dynamite Kid that you remember growing up?
Well, I wasn't really big on the British Bulldogs.
Yep.
I was more of a Heart Foundation person.
Right.
But I remember Matilda.
Matilda was awesome.
Yeah. That's the reason why I wanted a Bulldog was just because of them. I do remember, like you say, going back as I got older, going back looking at his New Japan stuff, and it was just far and above what he did in WWF at the time, because you realize, like, he put on a considerable amount of size when him and Davey went to the WWF, which made them a little bit slower because, they're carrying more weight. But, they were still phenomenally athletic.
Yeah.
And like I say, a lot of people pattern a lot after him. Like Chris Benoit is a whole repackaging pretty much of Dynamite.
I read somewhere that I want to say it was Harley Race who had sort of introduced the flying headbutt, the diving headbutt into wrestling, and in retrospect was sad that he had done so, partly because of what happened to the Dynamite Kid, because that was a move that he used, which led to a lot of concussions. And for those of you that don't know, the Dynamite Kid was in very, very bad physical health.
Yeah.
A lot of that had to do with the drugs and the steroids and everything like that. But, man, a couple of strokes, just in really bad shape.
Yeah, he was pretty, by the end, he was in a wheelchair.
Yes.
I remember reading, my view on him was a little skewed because I remember reading Bret Hart's book, and it did not paint him in the best. It wasn't like he didn't trash him, but he basically told it like he was. He was like, he was a miserable guy. Yeah. And there's numerous reports. So I'm, it's not speaking ill of that. It's just what his demeanor, he was one of those that he knew what he was doing, and he liked things a certain way. Yeah. And some of it was when I was reading the book came off kind of racist. So that kind of skewed, not that I lost respect. I always have respect for him as a as a wrestler.
As a worker, yeah.
Yeah, as a worker and stuff. I can recognize he is phenomenally talented, but then it made me not follow him as much and go back and look like I used to. Yeah. But, he's still a great, it is there's very few people in this business that make that kind of a mark where everybody, you can literally name probably 5 or 10 guys on the roster right now who pattern something they do after Dynamite Kid.
Couldn't agree more. And hello to you, Francis. Thanks for joining us. And Yeah, DX says the Dynamite Kid was good inside the ring, but outside the ring, a different story. He was definitely. There were some issues outside the ring. He was not liked by several guys, but he was a tough motherfucker. And Iron Sheik tweeted something to that effect, that he was an absolute tough guy. I read somewhere that Macho Man used to ask. I believe it was Macho Man used to ask Dynamite Kid to come with him when he would go out somewhere to watch his ass in case anybody bugged him, because he knew Dynamite Kid wasn't going to take any shit. So, nonetheless, it's a sad day for wrestling fans, indeed, between those two, for those two passing away. So, of course, our condolences to their families and friends.
What's crazy is that, it was his birthday.
Yeah, exactly. Would have been his 60th birthday, I believe.
Well, technically it was.
Was his 60th birthday. There you go. British Bulldogs are one of the first tag teams I saw in person. Yeah, I remember them seeing a kid as well, Tony, or Jody. Tripping all over myself here tonight. And Mac Diesel's saying Brett is kind of a negative guy about certain things.
Yeah.
Brett's, as Silky said, Brett's not the only person that had some things to say about it.
Yeah.
But again, I tend to take things like that with a grain of salt, because being alcoholic myself, I know that, not making excuses for it. When you're doing as much drugs and things like that that tend to go on, it's unfortunate that he didn't figure out a sober way of living and a safe way of living sooner. But again, the legacy that he had inside the ring will live on for sure, and there's no questioning that. I remember when Iron Sheik broke his back and made him humble. Exactly, because that's what Iron Sheik does. He's amazing like that. He's just,
I suplex you. I'll put you in the camel clutch. I'll break your back, and I'm gonna make you fucking suffer.
It's so great that he's dying on the make you fucking. I love Sheik. It's gonna be a sad day when the Sheik moves on.
Yeah,
but he's hanging on and doing well for himself, so that's good. On from one old school Daredevil to a couple of new school Daredevils. We got the announcement earlier this week that in February, the Rev Pro promotion over in England, across the pond there, gonna have a main event. And welcome to you, Warren Hayes. We just gave you the shout out for the operation and the Uno that you donated to the toy drive, so thank you for that. Got a big main event coming up in February. The show sold out in record time, no doubt because of the main event that was announced between Will Ospreay and our boy PAC, formerly known as Neville to you WWE fans. Will Ospreay and PAC to meet for the very first time over in Rev Pro in February. Again, so the show sold out in no kind of time at all. The folks over at Rev Pro said it was their quickest sellout ever. Any excitement on your part to see these two guys get in the ring together?
Not really.
Not really.
No,
Not a fan of those two guys.
No, it's not that I'm not a fan of them. It's just that style of wrestling for me it's just too choreographed, and it, in a sense, makes it look like we're working with one another, which I'm sure all the fans know what's up, but
sure,
the whole thing is you're supposed to suspend disbelief.
That's right.
And when you do matches like, for example, the ones like he did with Ricochet that caused all that media storm,
yes,
were phenomenal. Like, the moves were great. The match was great to watch. I enjoyed the match, but at the same time, it's like, well, this looked like you guys went out there, met up somewhere, and you guys tried stuff out just to make, because it was just too perfect. Sometimes you need that grittiness of like what they call botches. You need stuff to not look pretty, because then that sells the realness, because anyone who's been in a real fight, which is what we sell in professional wrestling,
that's right, fighting,
knows that you don't always, it's not like Muhammad Ali. Sometimes it's just swinging, flailing until you catch your shot.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't always look pretty. And yeah, that's been the complaint of a lot of folks, that it looks too polished and it looks a little bit too choreographed. I'm a huge Neville mark, and I make no aspersions about that.
That's why I call you the man that Pigment forgot.
Yeah, I love Neville. I loved him in WWE. Face Neville I rooted for. Heel Neville I rooted for. I just think he's great. I think he gets undersold in some capacity, because he gets kind of pigeonholed as being a flippy guy, and I think
he is a flippy guy.
I think there's more to his
100%
to his game than just being a flippy guy.
There's more to all of them's game, but primarily they're flippy guys.
I don't know. I'll be interested to see that match. Now, it's not something that I'm gonna pitch in. Like, I'm not gonna pay $40 to watch pay-per-view just to see that one match.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but to say that he's not a flippy guy.
No, I'm not saying he's not a flippy. I'm saying he's not just a flippy guy.
Well, I mean, but primarily when they say he's a flippy guy, that doesn't necessarily mean they're saying that's all he does. That's what he's known for. His fucking finishing move is like a gainer flip thing.
Yeah, but what else does he do that's all that flippy?
He does a spot where he rams them, and then as he's running, he does 2 front flips to his feet, and then turns around and runs back into him.
I don't think of Neville as a flippy guy.
He does several types of springboards that involve flips. Over the top rope, the Fosbury flop.
Welcome to you,
all
Dr.
that
Huge.
shit.
Is AJ Styles a flippy guy?
AJ Styles, not really. I mean, he does the.
See, I think of Neville as more of an AJ Styles type than a Will Ospreay type.
No, he's closer to Will Ospreay than AJ Styles because honestly, you look at AJ, his really only quote unquote flippy shit is the 450. Other than that, he does a lot of springboards and stuff, but it's not really flips.
That's true. I
mean,
Bob Ruski says he can be technical when he wants and flippy when he wants. See, and I feel the same way. I don't feel like, I'll put it to you this way. There are certain guys where I feel like if they don't do the flippy shit, they become boring to
like
watch.
Who?
That's all they bring to the table.
Like who?
I'm trying to think of guys. I mean, there are some. I don't watch a whole ton of Will Ospreay. Every time I see Will Ospreay, I'm thinking to myself, this guy's just literally seconds away from fucking landing and breaking his neck. And it's a lot of flying all over the place.
Now, he does fly a lot. I mean, and he does do a lot of flips. But, I mean, he sells great.
It's more an indie thing. I don't think it's so much a I can't think of guys on the WWE level, for example. But like over at DZW or some of the other independent shows that we go to, there are guys that pull out that kind of shit and really, they don't really bring anything else to the table other than that. And it's kind of like, it'd be nice to see you guys be able to carry a wrestling match without that being the only thing that you have to go to.
Then again, I mean, it's also, you got to look at it from the wrestling marketing standpoint. It's just like with the conversations we've had. I've had on here saying that, like John Cena has the 5 or 6 moves of doom, but he's expressed like this is what the office wants him to get in every match. So he puts it in, and anyone in that position would do the same thing. And so you can't pigeonhole, because sometimes that's what promoters want out of a talent, is because they know they can do this and that and pop the crowd. So that's what they want them to do.
That's a fair point. I'll give you that for sure. Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. definitely not a flippy guy. Whoever was that put that in there.
Nah, I'm not a big fan of Zack Sabre Jr. I mean,
I like him as well.
He's immensely talented, but like to me, his matches are kind of boring to watch. I mean, I love the moves he does, but his matches, like, they don't really excite me.
He's a very unique guy.
Yeah.
I dig the uniqueness of his offense. I think it's interesting to see what kind of shit he's going to come up with, because it's always something different. So, jumping on over to this side of the pond. Well, let's stay over there, overseas for a bit. So, Silky, we saw you sent me, I should say, the standings for the New Japan World Tag League, which is currently going on. We got 3 matches left, and there's a logjam up at the top of the standings, led by Tama Tonga Tangaloa.
Yep.
Which you have to say Tama Tonga Tangaloa, because you get to say Tonga Tonga in the middle. If you say Tangaloa Tama Tonga, it's not as much fun. Tama Tonga Tangaloa is a lot of fun. See, I say it right now and you laugh. Does anybody else see a different screen than I do?
What are you seeing?
Maybe there's something crazy going on with the feed, but we'll take a look at it and see. So, you've got those 2 up at the top. Let me get the...
With Evil and Sonata.
With Evil and Sonata, your winners from last year. And, well, this is the whole thing. 2 guys that I'm going to be rooting for, who we've seen quite often, Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith, the Killer Elite Squad, also there at the top of the standings. So, I ask you this, Silky Baines, because I'm going to be honest with you.
Right now, it's actually, it's a 4-way tie for number 1. You got the Gorillas of Destiny, Sonata and Evil, Ishii and Toru Yano,
which is
weird,
a completely insane
and
team.
then Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr., followed closely by Elgin and Jeff Cobb.
Yes, only 2 points behind with 16 points overall.
Sabre and Taichi. Juice Robinson, who's apparently done better in this than he did in the
G1, that's for sure.
Juice Robinson and David Finley, then Beretta and Chucky T.
And that's pretty much all that can conceivably win at this point.
Yeah,
right?
At this point with 3 matches to go,
Those are the only guys that can be there
Yeah.
because in order to you get 2 points for a win.
Yeah.
So the only guys that can jump up would be those guys there. But it looks like even with only 3 matches remaining, we've got somewhat of a 5-team race here.
Yeah.
Tama Tonga Tonga Loa, you've got Evil and Sonata, the defending champs. You got Ishii and Toru Yano, Killer Elite Squad, and Michael Elgin and Jeff Cobb.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of the World Tag League, Silky? Have you seen anybody that impresses you?
Well, I'm real impressed, always impressed by Evil and Sonata.
Yes,
because I'm a
I know
big Sonata fan.
Yes, I know they're some of your favorites.
Yeah, and then, Gorillas, they're always entertaining. So I like them, and I'm just surprised with the Ishii and Yano
pairing.
because, they tag all the time. So that's not a new thing.
But to have them.
But just to be there that close and actually right now conceivably could win this whole thing. It's a great, they say opposites attract because you can't get much more opposite than Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano.
This is true. Yeah, Bob Ruski says Juice and Finley are out, I think. They've got 14 points. The leaders have 18 at this point, Bob Ruski. So it may be because of the matchups. That
theoretically, though, they'd have to win, and then everyone else would have to lose every match, which obviously is probably
not going to happen. Yeah, exactly.
So technically, they are.
Could be.
All the ones with 14 are pretty much out.
So, yeah, like we said, the 5-team race. And, Lance Archer, a guy that you know.
Yes.
Who we've seen on numerous occasions. And Davey Boy Smith, for that matter, as well.
Yeah.
We've seen him on numerous occasions down here in Texas. Lance Archer, a Texas boy. So, going to be rooting for those guys. I believe it ends this weekend. Is that what Bob Ruski says? There's a show tonight, and then it ends on Sunday. So we shall see. Hey, Killer Elite Squad, not a bad pick. 3-time IWGP Tag Team Champions as well. So, we shall see what happens. Interesting stuff going on in New Japan, of course, as we head towards Wrestle Kingdom, which is coming up on December the 4th. December 4th? December 2nd.
January 4th.
January. That's what January 4th.
January 4th every year.
January 4th. So we'll be talking about that here on the program very soon. So, once again, folks, if you want to get on the phone lines, 832-937-4559 is the phone number.
832-93-SILKY.
832-93-SILKY. We got a phone caller waiting for us right now. Oh, and he just disappeared. So maybe that phone caller won't come back to us. Jack, who called in, and then we lost you all of a sudden. So feel free to give us a call back. All right, so moving back over here to the U.S. side of things. Put a question out there on Twitter and on the Periscope announcement for the program tonight. We had the announcement a couple days ago of the 8 cities that will receive XFL teams. Of course, Vince McMahon's second go-round at professional football. And the 8 cities were New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, Houston. Mm-hmm. You've got Seattle, D.C., Tampa, and St. Louis, which will all be receiving XFL teams. And the question I had, and I sent this to Silky earlier, and I wanted to hear everybody's take here in the chat room as well. Considering just how involved Vince McMahon is with every little detail of WWE, and we've heard stories about how he's involved in everything, I wonder 2 things. Is he going to be that involved with the XFL? And if that's the case, I don't see how he can maintain that kind of close watch over both organizations. So the question that I had is, what will the coming of the XFL, how will that affect WWE? Could we finally be getting to a point to where maybe Vince starts to step back, relinquishes a little bit of that control from WWE because he's going to focus more of his time on the XFL? What do you think, Silky?
I think that he will. I think that because he's got people like Triple H, Stephanie, Shane, all of them in place to where if he's not there, I think WWE still runs as smooth as it always has with him there.
It's a fairly well-oiled machine at this point.
Yes, so I feel like that's going to free him up enough. It frees you up when you have someone that can handle business and that you won't experience a drop-off. So I think he will step back really and let them run things, and he focus on getting the XFL off the ground and a lot better than it was last time.
Now, I know a lot of people probably hear that and say, well, that's a great thing for WWE because It's funny to me that people want to give Vince no credit when things go right. You know, people in WWE allegedly succeed in spite of Vince, and yet everything that's wrong, it's because of Vince. It's very strange. So, is it a good or bad
ain't
thing?
You never seen the movie Vance? Rule number 1 of management: everything is your fault.
I guess. So, would that be a good thing or a bad thing if Vince has to pull back from WWE? What does it do to the product? Do we see significant change in the product?
I don't think we see significant change, if any change at all.
Because here's the thing. Is we're going to come back to this in 1 second, because it's one of those things where, again, I don't get the popular sentiment in a lot of ways. I think certain guys get way too much credit for what goes right in WWE, and certain guys, Vince in particular, gets way too much credit when things go wrong in WWE. So we'll get to that in 1 second, but we want to bring our boy Juanito here onto the phone line, who wants to talk about the Dynamite Kid. What's going on, Juanito? How are you, sir?
Hey, good evening, fellas. Nothing much. About the Dynamite Kid, it's sad to hear him passing away, and he was a tough guy. You know, he lived to this much after doing all those drugs. But those drugs sometimes are like remedies for like pain, physically and emotionally, doing what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Back in those days when they used to wrestle for those many days away from their families, it takes a toll and stress on their bodies and on their loved ones. So I respect to him, you know. And another thing, with XFL, there at that time when they were doing it in 2000. WWF or WWE was really hot. Now we don't know what's going to happen with the XFL the way WWE is now. So it's kind of like, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally fair point on both accounts. And I agree with you there. It's easy to look from an outsider's perspective and say, oh man, Dynamite Kid just pissed his life away. Why does anybody do that? Again, as somebody myself who has struggled with addiction, it's never that simple. And those guys worked a crazy schedule. And it's like Juanito says, for him to be away from his family as much as he is, it takes a mental toll as well as a physical toll. It's both of those kind of things. Now, what about Juanito saying the first go round with the XFL, WWE was about the hottest thing going. I mean, that's when they were putting up the ridiculous Attitude Era numbers, and they were breaking all kinds of records and so on and so forth. That's not the case right now. So do you think the XFL, do you think that has a little bit to do with how the XFL might be in better position? There's no question they're in better position financially, just because Vince and WWE are in a better position financially. But do you think that the fact that WWE doesn't have as big of a market, is that a plus or a minus in the grand scheme of things?
I think for the XFL, it's a definite plus. I think that in regards like, that could be part of the reason why, because, you know, they were so hot that nobody cared about what else you're shilling us, because same reason the IBF and ICOPRO, all that stuff failed miserably, is because sometimes you can't just put wrestlers in a certain thing and it's just going to
succeed because.
Yeah, and I think if he focuses on the football and less on the WWE and integrating WWE, because I remember like Boss Man was like commentating or like coin flipper or some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
It was bullshit.
It was silly.
Just focus on the football and they'll be all right.
I agree. Juanito, you got anything else for us, my man?
Well, that's it. And Vince McMahon, he's a risk taker. He fails, but hey, he's taking things, so he knows what he's doing. The XFL things, the second go around, he knows what's up.
Yep.
I think you're right, man. I think he's definitely got a better shot this time around. Juanito, we appreciate your constant support, sir. Thanks for the phone call, buddy.
Good night, fellas.
Good night, sir. Juanito joining us here on the program. Let's get over to line 3, where our buddy Sean Neutron, a.k.a. Sean O'Brien from the Squared Circle Sound Off, is with us. Wants to talk about my boys, the Revival. Hopefully it's positive talk and not what I usually deal with. What's going on, Sean? How are you?
What's up, guys? Good to be back. And, you know, I think that you were mentioning XFL with Vince McMahon. I think if he is able to focus on that and give a little more space to Triple H and company with WWE, we might be able to get some of these storylines we want and some of these angles and guys on screen who will have success where we, you know, and that we've been looking for. And I talked to you earlier today about the Revival and saying that there'd be a perfect way right now to book them back to what they used to be with NXT.
Yeah, now go ahead and lay this out for us, because I was sharing this with Silky before the show, and I was hoping you were going to call in and share it here on the program. It's such a disaster what's happening with them now. So tell everybody that's watching now what your plan was to get the Revival back on top where they belong.
Most definitely. And, with the Raw 25, we saw them get buried by DX, and now we've seen them for the last 3 weeks get essentially buried by the Lucha House Party with those shenanigans, the 3-on-2 shenanigans. So what I would have them do is just get really angry, get really pissed one match, and halfway through the match, just say, just say hell with it, lay them all with chairs, bring tables out, maybe put them through announce tables, get the refs to try to stop it, but then beat the crap out of the refs. So it's almost kind of like the Nexus. And then at the same time, like after they're finished beating them up, they cut a fourth wall promo. If they were sick of this, we've had enough of this, and we're not sure what we're going to do, but we don't give a crap anymore. And then they get fake suspended. And then, hopefully at some point that brings like an organic groundswell of support, and we see them, sometime in the title picture in the near future.
Yeah, you can immediately take them from being laughingstock to badasses with this idea. I love this. I love everything about this idea. I would love to see the Revival just snap, go completely apeshit like he's talking about, and finally get, because I was thinking about this. What really heel tag teams do we have going right now in WWE?
The Bar.
Yeah, but the Bar, I mean, people were rooting for them just not too long ago. I mean, you got Anderson and Gallows who don't really show up ever. You had Ziggentire for a little bit, but, McIntyre's off doing his thing. I mean, there's not really a good heel tag team right now. It would be shit, we're turning everybody else heel. We don't have any heel tag teams.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's a very good idea to get them over as heels and, stop the burial process. But and it's not actually far-fetched that they might be actually doing this.
Exactly. For them to just snap and be sick of it.
To do it, it's almost like that rule of three. After the third time, they're not just doing this to do it.
Yeah.
They have an end game in sight.
I hope so.
So it's not like, after the first couple of matches, you could argue, well, they're just match fillers, to kill time on the show. Third time it's happened, it's like, okay, they've got somewhere they're going with this, and that's the most plausible one, because there's really, I can't think of anyone else that would fit in the Revival mold to add a third person so it can make it 3-on-3. So that would be the next best thing, is that they say screw it and they just beat the crap out of them. I would only thing I would tweak is that next time they're in the ring, they don't even go for a match, because they know. I mean, you got to put them in a position that makes them seem intelligent. That's what makes a good heel.
Exactly.
Is that he's intelligent when it comes to wrestling.
That's a good
I would have them come out for the match, and once they announce it's Lucha Rules, they just bum rush them with weapons and everything and get the match thrown out, because they know how it's going to go if this match goes more than a couple of minutes.
Exactly.
So you beat them down, you use chairs, the match is thrown out. I like Jody's idea. Fucking destroy the pinatas.
Destroy the fucking pinatas. Absolutely, yes. Get rid of those fucking things. Exactly.
And then, you know how much heat there would be if they did that shit? Like, just to destroy, especially since they named one of them. So take Penelope and you fucking tear her head off.
Exactly.
And,
I love everything about this show is taking a turn for the better all of a sudden. All about getting my boys over.
And then you can make them legitimate as a team. I mean, they wouldn't be in title contention yet, but at least it'll get fans looking at them not as laughing stocks as the team that, couldn't beat the B team.
Which is a good thing for sure. Sean, you always got good guests coming on the Squared Circle Sound Off. Before we let you go, let the folks know where they can find you and who you got coming up soon.
I got this week I got Mr. Brickster. I'm actually in the process of editing that podcast. Should be out later tonight. You can follow him on Twitter at Mr._Brickster with 2 R's. He's a fellow down in Tennessee. And then next week I'm going to have Swoggle on before Nova Pro Wrestling's Hockey Place show.
Excellent. Well, check out the Squared Circle Sound Off with our boy Sean O'Brien at Sean Neutron on Twitter. Sean, thanks for the call, buddy. We appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, take care, man. Sean O'Brien with us here on the Speeds and the Benchmark Show. 832-937-4559 if you want to get in on the phone lines.
832-93 Silky.
I love this idea of getting the revival over. We got to do something with these guys.
I mean, it's a start, and I mean, it could be. I mean, look at what they're doing with fucking Kurt Hawkins. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's immense, and he still hasn't won yet. But he's immensely over because he's embracing the fact that he fucking loses.
That's right. That's right.
And he still lost. But like it's just entertaining as shit. Like when they announced him as Ember's replacement.
Yep.
I mean, as Braun Strowman's replacement, and they had that one-on-one match, Alicia. Like he was celebrating like he fucking won the match because he had never really seen a win. He's like,
that's exactly
you
right.
know, 0-245 or whatever.
Yeah, and Jody says the tag team division needs fresh champions, and I couldn't agree more. I listen, I could watch the Usos and the New Day and even the Bar. They're going to put on great matches. There's no question about it. But again, we've been there and we've done that. You know, it's time to do something.
I mean, but I like this new wrinkle where it seems like they're trying to hype up a triple threat between all three.
Yes, which is what's forthcoming apparently. So.
Yeah, so I like the idea of that, and I think that would be amazing to watch. But again, you got to build for the future, and you know, you're kind of shooting your whole load on this one match because literally on SmackDown, those are the only three viable teams.
Exactly.
So you have no teams now in the wait. No matter who comes out of this on top, there's no teams waiting for them, and that's what I think the problem right now with modern day wrestling is like they don't build up like challengers while you're building up your champion. You want to do both so that way, when you come off and you finally take the belt off that champion, you've got 3 or 4 people who are ready to engage with
that's
the
right.
Yeah, so you
That's
have
right.
that. So I think that's what's going. That's the problem. I think WWE needs to get back to, you know, building everybody, you know, building 3 or 4 contenders while you're pumping up your champion.
Yeah, and we always
knowing that you know who you're going to have your guy drop it to. So obviously, if it's a heel, you have 3 or 4 faces that you're building up hard, so that you know that heel champion will, or when that heel wins the title, he has 3 or 4 people he can go into lengthy feuds with until you figure out to drop it, and then you just add some more people, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly right. And the Revival started a petition to suspend Lucha House rules. I highly recommend that you all go sign it. I retweeted it on our Twitter account, and you can be damn sure that I signed it. And DX says that's why there's no point to having women's tag team titles, because they don't care about tag teams.
I think that, and I've said it before, the only way that I think the women's tag title works is if you combine and make it just one division instead of Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
You need to open it up.
And yes, Just Chris, we are in H-Town. Hopefully you are as well. So thank you for being with us, sir. All right. Revival news aside, I love what I'm hearing. Hopefully WWE's listening, and I'll start doing some of the stuff that we suggest here. But let's get on to SmackDown Live. We obviously had our Raw show, which you can check out on the YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/SpeezBenchmark. And do us a favor, subscribe over there. If you haven't subscribed to the program, we would love it if you would do that on YouTube and over on Periscope. That would be great. The subscriptions have continued to go up, so we're always very grateful for that. And we hope that you will continue to spread the good word. So we had our Raw show where we spoke about this past week's Monday Night Raw, but obviously we haven't been on since SmackDown Live.
And I actually watched it.
An okay effort from SmackDown Live.
It was not bad. I mean, it was a lot better than Raw, but I mean,
it's a low bar.
Low bar.
Yeah.
So low.
But what do you think of this new Daniel Bryan?
I'm actually digging it.
We had very...
I felt like it was...
very liberal, non-meat eating... Hope my daughter kicks men in the crotch, Daniel Bryan. Grumpy Daniel Bryan. I mean, chanting, fickle.
That part I didn't like.
Which was very odd.
Yeah, because it's like you're basically, your whole stance is like you don't need all that. That was just a catchphrase that you repeat it like sheep and stuff. And then it's almost like you're trying to replace it. Yeah. So I think that part I could have done without. I mean, the Miz thing... It was like it didn't make sense, the whole him being on Miz TV, because there's no way, like, there's confrontation there, like AJ finally came out and stuff, but unless there was going to be an alliance there, then it just didn't make sense to even do it, in my opinion. Like, I think he would have got so much more heat if he either said yeah, or even if he denied it, and then when they came back to the match between Miz and Bryan, or Miz and AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan helped Miz win, and they kind of shake hands. Like, that would be like him nodding, like, you know what, you were right.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people think that they're maybe reversing the roles, and we could see Miz eventually become the face in this matchup and Daniel Bryan be the heel.
I don't see it, because Miz is, like, his character is just that big of an asshole. Like,
he is.
He wants to, all he wants is the validation. Like, even though he knows in his mind, it is 100%. Daniel Bryan did what he said, which is stop caring about the fans and win at all costs. And shortly after, when he had that epiphany, he became the WWE fucking champion.
That's right.
That he would not have got there had he been doing the yeses and, appealing to the crowd. So in his mind, it's like he's already knows that he's justified. So Daniel Bryan actually turning heel by proxy makes Miz even more of a heel, because
you would think so.
All Miz has to do is like, hey, this is what happened. You proof of what I said?
I've been telling you all along.
Daniel Bryan.
Come on over to the dark side. Exactly right. Daniel Bryan is the new heel, Captain Planet. Exactly right.
Captain Planet. God damn it. Now the song's going to be in my head.
And Bob Risky's right. I think they just turned Daniel Bryan loose on the mic and said, go with whatever. What are they doing with The Miz? He's been on a losing streak lately. Yeah, it's and he's looking more and more like Johnny Depp's character from that Willy Wonka remake with the white glasses and the weird, like, he's just...
Yeah, he's out there. I mean, he's trying to sell like he's Hollywood.
Odd, man. Yeah.
Yeah, he's over the
I don't
top.
see anybody in Hollywood dressing like The Miz. He looks like a fucking... Johnny Depp in the Willy Wonka movies is as close as I can come to it. It's just insane. I make sure to tell my wife to look at it because she just shakes her head every time. It's crazy. How is NXT an actual intriguing show? And Raw sucks shit, says Matt Diesel.
Well, I mean, that's easy because NXT, they tape and, they go on once a week versus Raw. Actually, they both go on once a week, but it's just the taped aspect. So they have time to edit. So if something doesn't go right in the match, they can cut it out in editing and shorten the match to give you the best match, frame that narrative of what the match was.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. I agree with you there, but I think it's more a case of, you don't have NXT takeovers very often. So, and your superstars don't necessarily appear on every show. So there's actually a build-up to when these guys actually perform, for when these guys actually have matches. And so when you're only building to 4 or 5 shows a year, it gives you so much time to build these stories up and to actually develop these.
NXT isn't without its problem because, it's almost suffering the same thing Raw has, and SmackDown for that matter, is too much talent for the amount of show.
No, I agree.
But you don't want to go, I don't want NXT to go to 2 hours. I think that's part of the appeal, the almost underground indie. NXT is as indie as WWE is going to get. You know what I mean? So
maybe. But
it's still like you got talents like Keith Lee, who they showed all those vignettes. Maybe we've seen him twice.
Yeah.
I've seen him twice.
Yeah.
It's almost.
And he just lost to who was it? He just lost to a couple weeks ago. Was it? I wanted to say it was Lars Sullivan, but it wasn't Lars Sullivan.
No,
it was. I'm losing my mind here on the program. Anyway.
Yeah.
Keith
Chime
Lee,
in if you know.
It'd be nice to see him more. Yeah, and I agree. And now you've got even more talent coming in. It's looking like Matt Riddle's going to be a guy that they push. There's.
But
Punishment Martinez just came in and he ate a loss right away. Now he ate a loss to Matt Riddle, so again, but. And DX says, what about TakeOver? That's not taped. And that's back to what I was saying before.
But
I feel they
have the time. Like, Raw has, and WWE, the main roster, we'll just say main roster, they have 3, at one point back a month or 2 ago, they had like 5 pay-per-views within the span of like 6 weeks. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like almost every week there was a big show. Whereas TakeOver... Oh, Lee lost.
It was to Lars. Thank you, Warren, for...
but TakeOver is only once every few months, so like that's what made the Gargano Ciampa first match so great, was that all the year build to that match.
Exactly.
And then after that, they had like 2 or 3 more months to the second match.
And just take take the pay-per-views themselves. Again, we've talked about this before. You get 5 matches on a TakeOver pay-per-view. Now, granted, it's a little bit shorter, but you get 5 matches and that's it.
Yeah, so each of the matches have time. Main roster, like, especially on the bigger pay-per-views, you'll have like 10 matches if you count the pre-show.
Yeah, so you're getting 8 to 10 matches on a
Which
pay-per-view
means that
every
you're
4 weeks.
Like, I just want people to go to Wikipedia and look up like main roster pay-per-views of, some from this year, and look at the times versus the NXT takeovers from this year, the time of the matches. You're looking at like takeover was like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 35 minutes.
Yep.
Whereas the main roster is like 5 minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
3 minutes,
Yeah.
So you have more time to do, and you want to have that kind of time when you're telling this story on NXT. Since you've had more time to build, you need more time to tell the story and sell the narrative of whatever the storyline you're pushing is. Whereas, they hotshot a lot of stuff in WWE. Like, they'll start something 2 weeks before and then want to sell you that this is like a big grudge match, but it's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You buy Ciampa and Gargano, or even lately, Gargano and Aleister Black.
Exactly.
You buy that these guys don't like each other. So it's going to be a war.
And, of course, we got the announcement that Aleister Black will invoke his rematch clause and take on Tommaso Ciampa at TakeOver Phoenix, which will be on January 26th, the wife's birthday.
Yeah.
On the same weekend as the Royal Rumble. So you got that going on, and we're going to see Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano in a cage match in NXT in a couple weeks. The other thing is, with these guys not being out on the road as much as your main roster guys, I can only assume that they've got a lot more time to work on these matches and to work on the stories that are being told in these matches. And that's going to help a lot. And I'm not going to sit here and try to sell people on the fact that, the main roster, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's never going to be the same thing. Just like I feel like comparing WWE to New Japan is unfair. To NXT to New Japan. I mean, it's just they're all different. It's all different. You can't look at it exactly the same way. There are certainly things that the main roster can do better. I would argue that there are things that NXT can do better. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when you're only taking a portion of your talent, you're only showing them every 4 months or so, 3 to 4 months on a big pay-per-view. That's going to make people want to watch those pay-per-views. It's going to make that crowd that much more excited to finally get to see those big matchups. And, that's something that you can't get away with on – maybe you can get away with it on WWE, but they don't. We'll put it that way.
I mean, you really can't because of the fact that there's so many pay-per-views, and now that they're not doing the brand exclusive pay-per-views – so it drops down because there's even less spots.
And not even the pay-per-views.
Fight for.
I mean, this whole thing to me started back with the Monday Night Wars. And when you had WCW and WWF going at it, they were jam-packing so much good content onto Monday nights to try to win that ratings battle that you started burning these huge matches that should have been pay-per-view main events. You would burn them on a weekly television show. And for some reason, even though they don't have that competition anymore, WWE still seems to be doing the same thing. They still seem to be burning these matches that could be, for all intents, I mean, how many times do we see a main event pay-per-view match on Raw the week before the pay-per-view? Or on SmackDown Live the week before the pay-per-view? Don't do that. You kill in my opinion, you kill the momentum for that match when I go into the pay-per-view, haven't seen it 2 or 3 times in the months leading up to it. It doesn't work for me in that regard.
I mean, and they're going for give you basically a taste. It's almost like drug dealers, like this one's for free. Now you have to pay to watch the real good stuff. So you show them how good they are and this match can be, and then generally it's some kind of schmoz finish where no one really gets over.
Right.
And then that leads to the pay-per-view where they go even further and have a good match.
Yeah, see,
in the 8 minutes that they got.
Doesn't work for me. That's a big reason why pay-per-views went down when they did the whole in-your-house thing. Yeah, Juanito's talking about that. I don't know, man. We could talk about all the things that could be done better, but you know what? At the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, especially like we talked about earlier with the XFL. Maybe Vince takes a step back. Maybe it's the fresh faces coming in that might give us a new look and maybe head things in a more positive direction. We're getting close to the top of the hour, Mr. Silky. So one more time before we get out tonight, want to make sure you guys check out the toy drive. tinyurl.com.
Share it.
/SB Toy Drive 2018. It is our pinned tweet over there on Twitter at Speez Benchmark.
Everyone that sent in something, try to get someone else to send something in.
Yes. And thank you so much, all of you guys. Really, it is so amazing to have all this stuff already. We know there's more stuff on the way. So not all of it has arrived yet, but we know that there's more stuff on the way. We know more of you are going to be sending stuff. So please help us continue to spread the word. We would appreciate that greatly. Silky, where are you going to be in the next couple of weeks so the folks can keep an eye out for you if they're in the area?
All right. If you're in the Eustis area, which is over by Dallas, I'll be at NTWA Presents Naughty or Nice. And next Sunday, or a week from this Sunday, I'll be here in Katy, Texas, at the Katy Elks Lodge for the Tugboat Taylor Invitational Tournament. It's going to be great. We've got lots of people coming in. It's
a lot of good names in that one. It
yes,
should be a lot
of good names in that one.
At DZ Wrestling or DZW Inc. on Facebook for all the information on that one. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to us. Make sure to subscribe to the program wherever you happen to be watching us tonight. Or if you're listening to us on the podcast, make sure to subscribe there as well. So, for the Benchmark, Silky Baines.
Yo.
Chris Bezak, thank you so much for being with us, everybody. We will see you Monday night after Monday Night Raw right here on the Speez and the Benchmark Show. Good night, everybody.